I'll give an example of that. There was a patient who had a boyfriend who constantly complained that, I'm sorry, I got this wrong. My patient was the boyfriend, and his girlfriend, he felt, was an extremely spoiled, bratty, demanding girl who he could never make happy, and just wanted all of his money, to spend all of his money, was spoiled, entitled, and he found it so irritating, but he really loved her and did not like thinking these thoughts about her in any way. And he had a dream of a Japanese fighter plane which was flying, and on its flag, instead of the red sun, it had a very expensive watch with a lot of diamonds on it as a jewel. That was the flag on the plane, and it was coming to his apartment building, and attacking him with machine gun fire. Does anyone understand the pun of that dream? Yeah, she's a Jap. That's what the whole dream is about, that she's a Jap. That was the dream, and he would not want to talk that way about her. I mean, he's a very fine person. He thinks Jap is an anti-Semitic term. He's Jewish. He would never use that term. But that was the dream. That was the pun. So you needed to get that pun. That's the whole dream's about, that pun. You know, that the Japanese are Japs. There's something which is different. It's called a self-state dream. I'll give you an example of a self-state dream that I just heard about last week. A patient who is coping with a history of very severe physical abuse and torment by her father that she thought she had completely worked through. She actually had very helpful EMDR treatment a long time ago before she came to see me, and she found it very helpful. But she has now come to believe that she has to really cut her parents off from her life because her parents are abusing her children now. Her father is abusing her children, and her mother is enabling her child. And for a lot of her life, she saw herself as very close with her mother, but disappointed in her mother for not standing up to her father, and hating her father, wanting nothing to do with him. Now that she's cutting herself off from her parents, she realizes that she's furiously angry at her mother, and she's now much more in touch with the longing she has for her father. She's not going back to her parents. She is cutting herself off from her parents, but she has to grieve the loss of her father and cope with the anger of her mother against her mother, which is the opposite of what she's felt all these years. All these years, it was rachmanis for the mother, anger at the father. It's reversed now. And she had a dream where she was entering some kind of a force field or place, and there weren't even any images to it, and she just felt that if she steps into this place, she's going to feel an intense longing to be close to her mother again, and if she doesn't step in it, she'll be able to avoid longing for her mother again, and if she steps into it, she'll die. If she steps out of it, and that was the whole thing. It was just like this sense that she's in this place. There was no narrative to it. It was just this sensation. So that's something called a self-state dream, and that's different than other dreams. There's no narrative to self-state dream. It's just a depiction of a certain feeling in time. A self-state dream was actually discovered by Heinz Kohut. There's something we call the dream from above. The dream from above is looking at the dream in terms of how the images and events and narratives were put together in that dream. What happened during the day that became that little thing that the dream got spun around, and what's going on in your life right now that makes you think of this right now. The dream from below is looking at the dream in terms of what are the unconscious wishes and impulses inside someone that is being represented in this dream at this time. So they're just two angles from looking at the dream from above and the dream from below. And then lastly, what we call the day residue. I just alluded to that a moment ago. The day residue is what happened during the day, that day, or maybe a day before, usually not even 3 days before, usually 1 to 2 days before a dream. There may be an event that became like the nucleus around which that dream was woven. And that event, it's important to know that event so you don't overly interpret that event. For example, there was a day that there was a girl on a red scooter that whizzed by him. Okay, she was on a scooter, he was walking, and she whizzed by him over his left side. And he had a dream of an airplane. He was flying and an airplane flew by him very quickly. And it seemed that was the day residue that triggered that dream. It probably would be inaccurate if we start trying to interpret that symbol too much, because that was what sort of initiated the dream. Then what he did with that dream was very interesting and it had a lot of meaning. But the day residue, so again, that's the reality event during the day, how it makes its way into the dream. Yes? Well, it's less meaningful. In other words, like if I would start trying to interpret what it means to buzz by someone on the left. I'll give an example, okay? When I have patients, there's going to be a dream that I'm going to share with you after we break briefly, where a patient, there's a girl being followed by someone, okay? And the person coming from behind this girl is looking over her to try to watch over her to make sure she's okay. And the girl looks back over her shoulder for reassurance. So I believe that was a dream. I mean, it's very hard to have a dream in my office about someone behind you and for me not to think it's a dream about psychoanalysis, because that's what happens in my office. Patient is lying on the couch and I'm sitting behind the patient. And I have patients that have dreams about someone in the back seat of their car who's guiding their driving. I think that was a dream about this. If she had had an event where she was being followed one day or following her son or something like that, then that would really be a mistake in my interpretation. It would not be a dream about analysis. My whole interpretation would be distorted, and what I'd have to say about the dream would be like not very helpful. So that's why it's important to do that. But I did make that interpretation. I did believe that her dream was about, that component of the dream was about her psychoanalytic relationship with me. So that's why it's important to recognize the day residue for that reason. You're right. The dream from above, like let's say, for example, that there's something going on in her life right now. I mean, the dream from above is her being in an analytic treatment is the dream from above. That's part of the dream from above. That's right. That's exactly how that term works. So some things about the significance of dreams. You know, Freud said in 1900, that's when he published The Interpretation of Dreams. The interpretations of, that should say dreams, is the royal road to a knowledge of the unconscious activities of the mind. And that's it, that it's a unique window into what's going on inside of somebody. And that is, I believe that people that work with dreams do see them that way. It's special knowledge about what's happening inside someone, which is unlike any other access. It's not that other access isn't helpful or that you can't do therapy without dreams, but it's a precious window into something that if you can take advantage of it, it can provide access that's not possible otherwise. Another way of saying this would be, your dream is a movie which was written, directed, starred in, filmed, edited, and produced only by you. Because a dream, it's like everything in the dream, with the exception maybe the day residue, but still, why did that little thing trigger the dream? You know, everything in the dream is created by that person. So there are very few things in psychotherapy that patients can't like blame on other people and externalize. It's hard to do that with your dreams. You know, your dreams are yours. They're really all yours. It's special access to a person's most private, deepest, vulnerable thoughts. It's a special opportunity to learn about the most intimate fantasies of somebody. So getting back to this image, one of the ways to think about a dream is that a dream is like a special portal into this space right here. That, you know, it's a different... It's also meaningful to look at people's relationship patterns. I mean, that's what I make a living mostly doing, looking at people's relationship patterns and how people respond to other people and going back in a step-by-step process of reconstructing. But sometimes someone has a dream and it just presents you with a lot of very rich data that is a much more vivid, evocative access to things happening. Not all patients will do this, but your patients that are very good patients will dream for you if you're interested in their dreams. But I should have put that in. I don't know how that works. I can tell you that my patients do dream for me. They're very, very compliant and bring in a lot of nice dreams for me. I don't know how that happens, but people that work with dreams all report this, that their patients know they like dreams and their dream activity changes. It changes probably because they find the experience very gratifying, and they know that I like interpreting dreams, so they're being very good for me. Yes?
Because you're so interested, that evokes the memory, because I worked with a dream therapist, and the first thing she wasn't just a dream therapist, the first thing she used to say was, when I came to her, she said, your dream, the first couple of days, I didn't remember. After that, I kept remembering.
Well, the comment is that a patient's knowledge that the therapist is very interested in dreams, that's a perfectly adequate explanation for how people do that. It still amazes me, though, that their entire dream activity changes around in the course of treatment and that they gain such It's an interesting thing to see happen.
The types of dreams that they dream?
The richness and the awareness of dreams, that their memory of dreams becomes so vivid. I guess it's one of those activities. Psychotherapy treatment working on dreams is one of the activities that changes your knowledge of your dreams, like we said at the beginning. Yes?
Do patients keep dream journals?
I don't ask them to keep dream journals, but many do. I have one patient who's a very, very adorable young woman who wakes up and she types her dreams into her cell phone and sends an email to herself and then goes back to sleep, and then she has them on her cell phone to read to me. And other people do write down. A lot of people write down dreams. And I'm glad, because I don't want to have to read. I said she's a very good patient. That would be not as such good a patient that I have to read your email. I don't ask them to do it. Why don't I ask them to do that? It's hard to answer that question very directly. I think that it would become very heavy-handed, and it would deprive the patient of ownership of their dreams if I'm commanding them to write down their dreams for me. I think that it would rob them of something. I think that the way, and we'll talk about this in the next section too, that the way to get patients sharing their dreams with you, it's got to stay their dreams, and they're coming in and sharing with you these interesting dreams that they're very puzzled by and want to figure out with you, which is very different than like I am delivering you a dream. Now, sometimes if that's the transference, that is sort of what's happening, but I don't want that to be the reality. I don't want to be the reality that I'm commanding them to dream for me. I think that would... Right. Okay, so that's also true that people that are oppositional would not dream for me. I think that people that are oppositional know that I like dreaming, and therefore they also won't dream for me, regardless of what I'll do. But that is true. It enters what you're saying is it just enters a confounding variable into the transference by doing that. So what I would like to do now is I would like to present some dreams to you. I would like to start with one dream, and then I think take a break for 10 minutes, and then we'll do 2 more dreams after. Now, here's the group exercise that we're going to do. I'm going to read through this dream. This is a dream that a patient had on Monday, the 24th. Just a very fresh dream. And now, these are patients, all the dreams I'm presenting are patients that attend 4 times a week. Now, why am I telling you that? Because it's easier to do work with dreams when someone is coming so frequently, because you're not in a rush to get some very important, there's just a lot of time to work with. And I would say that if you're seeing someone less than once a week, there's no way you can work with dreams. And even once a week is difficult. I would say twice a week would make it a lot easier to work with dreams than once a week. But once a week can be done with a very capable patients. Some patients are just very talented at therapy. Yes?
I know you're kind of interrupt, but I was wondering, I think people that don't frequently work with dreams, most that it comes up is with someone who has a recurring dream that they'll bring in. So you find that that's useful as opposed to
Well, I think recurring dreams are probably very important in most cases. Recurring dreams probably really represent vividly a core problem, and a recurring dream is probably very important. Recurring dreams are very difficult to work with because the recurring dream can really only be understood as the dream from below, because it's going on in like throughout their lives in every setting. So the dream from below, and the dream from below is very hidden. But yes, I think a recurring dream, and a recurring dream, even though it's very difficult, is also, in a way, it's easier to work with because it's intuitively sensible to every patient that if I have a recurring dream, this probably represents something important about me we should understand. So patients, it just seems like it's sensible to them that they should share their recurring dreams. So it's often that the recurring dream is the first dream that you work with in therapy. So a recurring dream is a good thing to ask about in every first session. I would ask about recurring dreams.
Can I just interrupt for half a moment?
We'll see.
When you break, just keep in mind that there's a sign-in sheet in the back for those who want to see to use. I want to stay for the rest of it, but I have to man an effish table. But this is fascinating, so I hope you all enjoy more. And there's evaluations at the end. I'll come back to pick them up at the end and try to sneak back here.
Okay. First dream we're going to discuss. Okay. I landed wrong and I broke my foot. Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't explain the group exercise. The group exercise is I want you to identify in this dream the elements that you think are probably important symbols. That's what I want you to do. And then we're going to, as a group, associate to those symbols. I'll explain what that means as a group. Okay? But this is the dream. I'll tell you. Yeah, I'll tell you. I was going to not tell you, but I think I'll tell you. This is a... how old is she now? She's a 24-year-old woman who I've been seeing since she was 18. She was discharged from a residential treatment program where she lived for 2 years. Very severe borderline personality traits as a teenager. She was extremely helped by this residential treatment facility. Multiple suicide attempts, a lot of cutting, a lot of violence, and got a lot better in the treatment program. She was referred to me because of my work with borderline patients. And over a period of, so it's 7 years, going on 6, this is the 7th year of her treatment. She's really not functioning at a borderline level anymore. She has not made a suicide attempt or cut herself in years. She's in college now full-time. Of course, what is she studying in college? Psychology. You're all mind readers. Yes, she's studying psychology in college. And she has had a lot of trouble with, she had a boyfriend who was a drug dealer for a while, who was exploited her quite a bit. And she has a very cold and punitive mother who hates her. But her mother is like a martyr whom everyone admires in the community. That's the, okay. So here's the dream. I landed wrong and I broke my foot. There was this one bone that was broken. No one believed me that it was broken except my doctor. He said that the pain medication would stop it from healing, so he didn't give it to me. If you can't feel it, it won't heal. There was this woman who had a strange necklace, and she pretended that she believed my foot was broken and gave me pain medication. But it was heroin or maybe poison. I think she was going to kill me. I pretended to take it, but she was looking at me so closely to make sure I really swallowed everything she gave me. That's the dream. So let's go through as a group. Let's go through here. What are the things in this dream that you feel like are symbols that would be, we'd want to understand what it represents? I mean, let's start with this. Does this seem like this represents something significant? Okay. Does anyone, be honest, does anyone here think like, Who knows? I mean, this might be nonsense. How do we know this? Does anyone not really think this is significant? Is anyone not convinced this would be significant? So everyone here is either shy or a believer in dreams now. Okay. Okay, so let's, yes. So no one believed me. Okay. Right. So, okay. So I wanna impose something on the group, what we were talking about a little bit before. Let's try right now not to interpret the dream. Let's just do a very primitive exercise where we're just going to identify symbols. And the reason for that, and that's something that's part of the technique of dream interpretation. People that are very quick and clever have a harder time with this because you jump quickly to interpretations and you haven't taken in enough of the dream yet. So let's, as a group, try to do this. Let's try to just very, very concretely identify the elements that should be. And the first thing that strikes you in your subjective experience of the dream is no one believed me. That's the first thing that hits you when you hear this dream.
That's the loudest piece. I landed wrong is kind of passive, and that's an interesting, like, in terms of what's happening to me.
Right, so let's not talk about why. That's the first one. You chose that one. That was your react, and I don't think you thought about it a whole lot. That's what hit you. No one believes me. Like boom. Yes. Okay, one bone. One bone, strange necklace. Yes. You can give it, and we don't want to hear it. So landed wrong and hurt my foot. Hurt, landed wrong. Okay. Janice.
That you're the therapist. If you can't feel it, it won't heal.
If you can't feel it, it won't heal.
I think that it was actually the one bone part is important and the believing part important. I think that actually that was broken.
So what strikes you is that this was a fracture in this foot. I know that it's not even said in the dream, but it's along, I think it's the corollary with no one believed me, and it was broken. My foot is broken. Yes. So the deception is what strikes you, the deception. Yes.
I mean, she was going to kill me. So what strikes me is a lot of fear. There's mistrust and there's fear that she has. Others, I'm not sure who, but there's a lot of fear when she was going to kill me.
Okay, so again, to impose this discipline, which is a different way of operating, poison is what's hitting you. You're starting to interpret poison, but poison, that's the one. Poison, yes.
The word swallowed everything she gave me. It's like the intuitive, like it's like when you look at it, how it's like the literal meaning and the figurative meaning. So that kind of.
That strikes you. The ambiguous, a phrase that can be interpreted a number of ways strikes out, like, they say, what is it? Ein mikrazeh omer ela darsheni, that this verse is saying you must interpret me. So that's what you're saying about that. Yes. Another, pain means multiple things. So pain. Yes.
But I just feel like a sense of helplessness in it. It's like it's helpless because wherever it goes, there's no Yeshua.
Right. So you're not exactly interpreting, but you are now sharing with us your subjective feeling state when you hear this dream. And that's another step, which I'm glad you said because I didn't really put that into the presentation. There's a certain feeling that you will have come over you with certain dreams, and you are having through this a sense of helplessness for my patient. That's like your fantasy or shared sense of what this is. That's what's evoked in you. That emotion's evoked in you. Judy.
I found it interesting you are the therapist and you're male, and
So the doctor does believe her.
A woman will who is dangerous to me.
Right, the
But
woman...
who doesn't believe me and is wrong. I believe is safe.
No, the man does believe her. I don't know if there's a typo, but no one believes her except her doctor. Her doctor's the only one that believes her. But he's not. But the man is. He won't give the medicine, right? He won't give the medicine. Okay. N- Now, you guys as a group, I think, do better than I did at identifying symbols and that makes sense because it's a collective effort. So the next page, I'm going to have underlined what occurred to me. It's similar, but I thought there was some very insightful, I can't even call it insight, some very sensitive things that resonated with you very sensitively in this group that didn't resonate with me just hearing it at that moment. You want to say two people?
I would say that I feel sad. It makes me so sad.
You feel sad.
She said that she was doing so much better, and here her dream is about there's heroin in it, poison in it, and it sounds like that was part of her relationship with her boyfriend. It was so much insight. And she was so involved. She and he were so involved in that.
So sadness is evoked for you. Now let's again, to impose this in this workshop, I want you to just not tell me why sadness was evoked for you, because I don't think you know exactly. You're starting to now postulate how it's plausible that sadness could be evoked for you, but helplessness is evoked for you and sadness is evoked for you, and it's juxtaposed with how well she's doing that she would have a dream with such sadness in it. That's behind you first.
Yeah, I just had a very technical question. You're transcribing this word for word as she's speaking?
Yes. Which is easier to do when patients are on the couch not looking at you. But I think that if you are doing psychotherapy face-to-face and you don't normally take notes during a session, that you can say, I want to write down your dream word for word as you tell it to me, and pick up paper and do it, and I don't think it will interfere. It's actually interesting because it shows that you're going to take really seriously this is like the mikra, right? This is like the actual text. The dream is the actual text, and you want the actual text before you to think about. So I think it's something the therapist can do, and it's not disrespectful or distancing from the patient, the way notes can sometimes be other times.
I have a very different
Next, yeah, go ahead. No, go ahead. Janice, go ahead.
I think the hard thing about the dream is that there's a lot of insight and a lot of thoughtfulness going on in it. There's a lot of healthy, interpretation, a lot of healthy stuff I think going on.
So you're impressed with her.
Symbolism is
Right. You're impressed with her symbolism. Right. She is a very impressive young woman. I think you will be surprised sometimes at the beautiful dreams that some people can create who, don't seem to have a lot of creativity that they're willing to show or able to access in their lives because of their personality problems. And that's another reason why dreams can be a special venue, because some people are unconsciously way more creative and poetic than they're aware of because they're so inhibited. So that's another reason that working with dreams can be a special experience. Janice, I've almost called on her so many times.
Though the content of the dream has a lot of pain in it, I don't have sadness about it.
I
Because
felt the same way. I'm very
the
positive.
process of the dream, her ability to be so clear about what she was thinking, her ability to delineate.
Okay, so why? We're not at a why yet. I don't want to know.
I also felt
You're not evoked. Sadness, helplessness, sadness. You don't have that evoked for you. It's not about agreeing or disagreeing. This is a feeling. We're not.
Feeling is very positive
my
and
feeling is
hopeful.
positive.
I want people to be in touch with the feeling evoked, not why or would it, or other people have your own. We all have our own neurotic reasons why one thing's evoked or not. So yes,
And that's what I want to say. I was surprised because I also felt very positive.
positive.
Yeah.
Okay, so sadness, helplessness, and excitement is what I think some people have evoked. Yes, sir, in the back.
Some of the symbolism, like she mentions the doctor. Now that's the struggle
Okay, so doctor is another symbol for you that you think is meaningful. You're starting to say why, but doctor strikes you. So if you are taking these notes, what I do is in the margin, I write down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I write down the terms or words or phrases that I'm going to ask her about. And I'll now go through the procedure with how the next thing's done. So I won't have written down all the observations that you guys had. These were mine. Okay. These are my symbols that struck me. Okay, this is what struck me. I landed wrong. I broke my foot. One bone. No one believed me. My doctor. Pain medication. Stop it from healing. If you can't feel it, it won't heal. This woman who had a strange necklace. So it wasn't just the necklace, but the woman with the strange necklace for me. But I think the necklace is really... She pretended that she believed. Pain medication, heroin, poison. Make sure I really swallowed everything she gave me. Those were the things that for me were my... So it's, I think, similar to the group, but I think you guys had some other ones that if I could have asked her about some of the things you observed, it would have been even in better session. So the next thing is to say, now I'm going to do to you guys what I would do with the patient right now, okay? Now I'm asking you not to interpret and not to go with why. I'm going to try, let's stick in an experiential mode right now in this room, okay? I'm going to ask you for your thought associations. What I mean by that is I mean what words or images come into your mind, not why, okay? I don't want to hear about why right now because that's very distancing. I just want you to like put on a microphone inside your mind, and I'm going to identify these symbols and raise your hands and share what words come into your mind, okay? Now, there's a lot of people here, so we won't have, a long time to do it for each person. When it's a patient, you can spend a few minutes on each one. And sometimes a patient will say, I don't know. When a patient says, I don't know, what I say is well, give yourself a few minutes to see what occurs to you. Because the reason they don't know is probably because there's something very inhibited or difficult that's associated with that. It's probably meaningful when they say, I don't know. Like they think I should know already what comes to mind. But no, I'm asking you to tell me what you're hearing. So you haven't heard it yet. So when you hear some phrase, you'll tell me what comes to mind. So let me start with this one. So I want you to tell me what comes into your mind with landed wrong. Okay, so a bunch of people have your hands up. Yes.
I come from a wrong place. I come from a bad place. My history or I don't want to.
Like I landed in the world wrong. Like I have bad. Okay. Yes.
I landed in the wrong family.
Very similar. I landed in the wrong family. Yes. I made a mistake. I fell. Yes. Who did you have your hand? Did you have your hand up? Yeah.
Oh, to me, that first sentence for me was like a birth. I just was born into it.
Okay. Yes. I did something wrong. Okay, so I've caused my troubles. Yes.
Well, you stand on your foot, so it's the foundation of your being.
So your association is I'm flimsy at my core. I have a shaky foundation, cracks in my foundation, something like that. Yes. I don't have a leg to stand on. That's what occurs to you. Sometimes that will be, the phrase that comes into your mind will be a metaphor, and sometimes that's the pun of the dream. So that's a very important thing to attend to. So the first thing about this is that I think these are very rich associations that all inform us about her. I think she does feel she was born into the wrong family. I think she does feel that she has a very shaky foundation. I think she does feel guilty that she causes lots of things wrong. And so the interpretation of dreams, it's largely driven by your thought associations also. because that's like how the mind works, these verbal puns and associations. What you associate to will very often be what your patient's associations are and what they symbolize. So that is a very, and everything you've said in this room describes her very well. Yes?
Everything sounds so deep. I was just thinking of like landing in the wrong airplane with an airplane. Like I was very literal. Even when you had the painting, it's like much more literal.
Well, we'll give you a chance with another one, don't worry. So, okay. Broke my foot. Yep.
The foot is a support system.
I just want to,
Oh,
support system.
yeah, like the wrong mother, the mother's with the nurturer, and like, I do an analogy with a tree.
Okay, so I want to keep with this process right now. You're starting to get distant from this experience. What comes into your mind? So one is lack of nurturing, being cut off from the family. Support was your association, and my supports are broken. That was your association. Yes?
Another metaphor, put your best foot forward. So forward like the path in life, the direction goes like breaking my foot.
No future is sort of your, yes.
Dependence and pain.
Dependence and pain. Yes.
I'm alone. So I found myself alone.
Alone. Yes.
So again, I was a little. I'm thinking of the wishbone that's broken in half, like as a child.
Okay, that's very interesting, though. What is a broken wishbone? She thinks she's being literal. Can someone help her out? Broken wishes. You're thinking of Yeah, okay, but the image is a very symbolic image. I mean, you didn't say a broken femur or a broken fifth metatarsal. Okay, yes. Okay, that's a little thinky. You're getting a little thinky on us, but okay.
And the question that I have is, if we didn't have the history on this woman, then don't you think that most of our interpretations would be totally different?
I don't think we've had any interpretations yet.
No, but I'm saying.
We're doing thought associations. We're doing thought associations. It takes patience. It's hard. It's not that it's hard. It's that it's a different way of working. We've got to just go through. It's a messy, slower process to figure this out. Yes. Can't move. Okay. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit. Make sure I really swallowed everything she gave me. What comes to mind with that? Two people really want to say something.
That I have to believe her interpretation of who I am.
So the metaphoric meaning, yeah, so this concrete narrative image, the metaphor is what really strikes you, that I have to accept her point of view. And her point of view is poisonous, right? And what did you...
No, I was also going to say that no matter how much the doctor's trying to heal me, she's overpowering the doctor. She's still poisoning me, and she makes sure that the poison goes in and goes in my body. And,
So what strikes you is that she wants to murder me. The concrete meaning of this in the dream is also very evocative of she's really trying to kill me in this dream. I think you want to say something, and then you?
That to make sure that I really swallow everything, it just feels like someone who, instead of trying to murder me, but just someone extremely controlling and punitive.
Yes.
I associate the following with a strange necklace and the feeling of constriction, the roping, and yet looking beautiful on the outside.
Let's go to that. Let's go to strange necklace. What do people think of with strange necklace? Mrs. Klafter, you were the first one that said strange necklace. You weren't? Well, you have to tell me anyway.
Something tight or something dangerous.
So like strangulating is what comes to mind for you. Yes.
this is because I know the history. You gave us a little bit of a history.
Okay, again, I don't want to know why. I just want to hear... So it's a disguise. It's a fancy outfit, like a fancy outfit in a disguise. That's what occurs to you. Okay. Yes.
To me, the association is distortion of reality, a distortion of what is normal. Like we wear necklaces, but we don't wear strange necklaces. We wear pretty necklaces. We wear interesting necklaces.
So the fact it's strange, it's like grotesque or something in some way.
It's a distortion of what people normally do. Like
It's not how you describe an unusual necklace or a unique necklace. Yes. Like a menacing sign. Yes.
Necklace is like a status symbol. It's something like showy, but it's strange. It's like foreign to the person related.
Okay, so symbol to warn, a warning symbol. Okay, so now, so I think that all of these associations you're having are very relevant to her. Now, when we talked about condensation, that things have multiple meanings in the dream, so I think that this fancy disguise and it being strangulating are both very apt descriptions of how she feels about her mother. And she did associate to strangulation and her mother's trying to look fancy and nice to everyone else in the world. Those were her associations. All the associations you've named, pretty much all of them are her associations.
You did this exercise with her.
This is how
Sit together and
this is how you do a dream. This is exactly how you do a dream. You go through each of the symbols. The better you become at doing dreams is that you become better at allowing yourself to have feelings evoked by the symbols, and then you become more curious and asking about the symbols, and you slow yourself down from jumping to an interpretation and thinking a lot. Like it's a mutual. It's like taking in a painting together, or if you would go to a symphony together and sit and listen to the symphony together. And as you do this more, you become more confident that you have to go through that slow exercise in order to get really a meaningful, interpretation of the dream. It's sort of like this. It's like, when you see a scene in a movie, you could very quickly come up with an explanation for what's going on in the movie, and it might be accurate, but to really let yourself savor all the elements of the entire film, that would be a much deeper interpretation of it. It's that kind of thing. And it takes discipline because we are trained to jump to things. When I do this exercise with residents, they have a lot of trouble letting themselves, you guys are much better at this than the residents. They're very young, they're very inexperienced, but it's very hard for a lot of therapists to sit and just let stuff happen because they want to jump into therapeutic action right away and come up with a solution and an interpretation and a phrase. And you have to be willing to sometimes not even know what the dream means. Now, who is prepared to start to give an interpretation of this dream based on the things that we have talked about and the associations?
I'm sorry, just before you do that, from the condensation perspective, my sense was that this was about her mother, but also about the boyfriend.
Aren't you giving an interpretation right now before we give interpretations? Yeah, you're giving interpretation. Okay, so let's hear your interpretation.
No, but again, I was also struck by the strange necklace and some of the other things. Of course, the heroine just that was very direct correlate to the boyfriend. But just the sense again that there was something that seemed enticing, but also strangulating about the mother, boyfriend, the relationship that she's had.
So what would you say to her? Let's pretend I'm now the patient. What would you say to me based on those thoughts? Are you not sure?
I don't know if one does something very directly, like say something like that. But
Well, I'm asking you to. Well, think about it. You've heard the dream, you've asked for associations to all the symbols, you've thought about them. This is probably, 20 minutes of time has gone by. And so then after 20 minutes of hearing their associations, you could make an interpretation informed by their associations. In other words, they've now told you, it's not just a dream, it's now, I'm telling you a series of images that I have that are associated in my mind with these thoughts and feelings. that's a much easier thing to interpret than just the text of the dream. And you're also sitting and thinking about it for that time with them.
Okay, so I think I would talk about the
No. Say it. Pretend I'm her. Say it in first person to me.
what your dream suggests to me is that you're talking about the disconnect between what's sort of the external appearance of things and what your actual internal representation of that is. Meaning your conflict, it looks like your mother's is taking care of you or trying to help you or give you something to heal you, some pain medication or something, or your boyfriend is doing this comparable thing in another way, taking care of you. But actually your sense really is, it doesn't make sense. That's not how it feels.
Okay, that's a very nice interpretation. Let's hear another interpretation. Janice.
So my interpretation has a lot to do with the nature of what's going on in therapy, as well as what.
Okay, no payerish in advance. I just want to hear it.
Okay.
Come, bring it.
It's, that you were born into the wrong family, and that you knew from the beginning that something was wrong, but nobody believed you. But now you have a doctor who believes you, but he's not going to tell you, he's not going to give you the solution to life, he's not going to give you the wisdom immediately. He doesn't have the immediate answers to stop the pain, but he's telling you if you can't feel it, it won't heal. So he's telling you you have to feel it, and through that feeling of it, it will heal. But there's still, so that represents you. That represents your relationship with me, the doctor. But there's still this woman out there who is dressed nicely, but who is dangerous, and she's pretending that she believes me. She's doing all the things like sending me to treatment centers and paying for therapy and doing all these things, saying she wants you to get better. But there's something insidious about the foundation of this relationship that you still don't trust, and you can't settle in no matter what. I don't know what's going on between her and her mother, but
Right.
there's something that's going on that looks like all the right things might be being said, but the feeling isn't safe, and she wants it to look pretty, and she wants me to swallow everything, but I see her as scary.
Okay, so one more interpretation, and then we're going to break. I think that he had his hand up a long time ago.
I guess that's the whole of a lot of what people were saying.
Okay, no, hold on.
Basically, there's a lot of intrascience of pain, a lot of historical problems with growing up, and no one actually recognizes the sort of the pain that you're going through right now. No one recognizes what it was like, with the way you feel, and you feel the only way to express this, or to get this out, is by going through pain, such as cutting, suicidal gestures, and that's the way you can sort of bring out this, broken bone, bring out, the various people who are trying to harm you throughout your life.
Okay, so we're going to, I would like to take exactly a 10... What did I tell her? Okay, I'll tell you what I told her. I mean, I do have information that you guys don't have, so that I didn't. But that's not the purpose of the exercise. But I said that one of the other things that's been a constant for the background to understand this are two things. Number one, I've refused to prescribe certain medications for her. That's a real thing that's happened. And number two, what she does is she enacts other people to take on half of her conflict through projective identification. For example, she gets other people to set limits for her and then protests against the limits. Or she gets other people to tell her she's really good and she's really capable, and she says, I'm helpless and I can't do it. She sort of manipulates other people to take on half of her conflict in life. And she's done that on so many occasions that she's come to call that her way of not feeling pain. She gets the painful feelings, the other people, to express about her what she doesn't like, and then she can say that they're wrong about her. So what we talked about with this is that, what I said that, number one, the fact that no one believed you but pretended to help you is, very, very reminiscent of the fact that your family has always paid for lots and lots of treatment for you, but they've always thought that you are faking and you just want attention. And no one has thought that there's actually anything broken inside of you. And I've taken the stand that I do think that there are things in you that are truly broken. I'm optimistic that we can heal them over time, but I do believe that there are parts of you that are broken. It's not something you're making up. It's not just for attention. You do enjoy attention, but that doesn't mean that there's nothing in you that's broken. And the fact that I wouldn't give you that medication that you wanted from me, I think has a meaning that's much larger than the actual issue with the medication, which is that you know that I don't believe in numbing things. You know that I believe that you have to be very aware of what you're feeling inside in order for things to get better. And that I think that your boyfriend, it's now an ex-boyfriend, thank God, your ex-boyfriend and your mom are both represented with the poison and the heroin and the strangulation. Her ex-boyfriend did strangle someone a long time ago. That's also a true thing about him. So that's also part of but I actually didn't think of the associations till she said strangulation. I didn't think of that on my own. And again, you can't think of everything like on the spot, and you don't have to. That's the thing. Like, to interpret dreams well, you don't have to be clever and quick. You have to be patient and try to be sensitive. And then your associations are informed by your knowledge of the patient as well. So they'll be sharper than that. So that's the interpretation that I gave her. Now, in terms of the sadness, the truth is that she's doing much better in life now because she can be aware of her sadness. She's not acting out all of this stuff, trying to numb her sadness. She can own her sadness, and that's why she can function much better in life. So that was my interpretation of the dream. So, all right, so I want to, do people agree with a break? Okay, so please, it's 11:34. All right, 11:35. You got to be here 11:45, then we're going to try to do 2 more dreams, at least 1 more dream. I think with this group it's going to be 1 more dream. That's what I'm guessing. In 10 minutes.
Just a quick question. My supervisor is a psychoanalyst. Is actually telling me that I'm probably too young. Don't kill a dream with the interpretation. Just hold on to it and have them interpret it. It's just a different style.
I don't agree with that. I think that you have to interpret the dreams, but you have to get the
And I want to see if
you can kill a dream by interpreting it if it's too intellectualized, but I think that if you get the patient's vivid associations and then you use their vivid emotionally evocative material and you're reacting to, like, if your association is a reaction to their material, I don't think it kills the dream. And I think they need you to interpret the dream. I mean, I think that that's a function of the analyst. So I probably disagree.
Yeah, I see, and it's so interesting to me to watch this, even though I'm having all these associations.
Right.
But she felt that that's how they grow themselves, and it's like the dialectical nature between the id and the conscious, all that stuff, the ego, the
Right.
whole dialectical conflictual stuff.
Well, yeah, I do interpret dreams. I interpret dreams. There are times that I say, I don't know exactly. I had this thought about this part, and I had that thought about that part, but there's other parts of the dream that are just